Yo, what's good? Up? What's popping, y'all?
With that paper.
Hey,
what's up?
Is up, Nerdventure gang. You already know what it is. It is afternoon. It's your boy Al. It's the homie Lavis and the big homie.
Yes,
the big homie.
Except reverse the order. You just.
Am I on the other side? Am I tripping? A little
bit, but it's all good.
It's all good. Y'all look alike anyway. It don't matter.
True. Practically
very
brothers.
True. Exactly.
My brother from another mother.
Indeed. What's up, boys?
What's up, y'all?
Not much, man.
Ain't nothing, man. Just chilling on a Saturday afternoon. You know how it goes.
It is. Exactly.
Just chilling, man.
Well, I'm pretty excited to be on your show and to be able to talk Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Al and I were supposed to talk about it yesterday, and I had some stuff happen, so I was glad to be able to come on and talk to you guys about the episode today.
No doubt, man. No doubt. Yeah, definitely ready to get into this shit, man.
Yes.
Serious.
Yes.
One of them episodes.
Yes. I think we have a lot to talk about. I mean, I'm very interested, frankly, in what you both have to say about it. There's some questions I've got. I frankly really liked the episode. I guess just throw that out there to start. I'm wondering how people felt about it. I haven't been on the internet as much as I usually am, and just with the move and everything. So I'm curious what you guys think, and then people in chat, of course. What does everybody think about this show?
Yeah, definitely. Let us know.
Yes.
I'll go ahead and go first.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say,
go ahead, Al.
yeah, I'm gonna say it like this. A couple things. Number one, I give the show about an 8. Gave it an 8.
Okay.
Now, if you recall, I think overall I gave WandaVision, I think, a 7. This one episode has knocked WandaVision down to a 5.5.
What?
This one episode, because there is one thing that this episode was able to do in one episode that WandaVision took like the entire season to do, and they still didn't do it well.
Okay, what's that?
Character development.
Okay.
Something that I have previously said I am not here for in my comic book content.
Yeah.
Before somebody jumps into the chat trying to remind me of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that for me, it's the character development. You automatically, right off the rip, know where these people are and like where they're going, particularly Bucky and Sam. You automatically get it in the very first episode, and it's not it's not like right on the nose.
Yeah.
It's so much nuance in this. So that's where I'm at with it.
Yeah.
What about you though, Lavis?
Yeah, like so far, I'm really digging the direction that they're going. I really like the Winter Soldier aspect a lot.
Yeah.
I like how they're pretty much outlining, he's getting pardoned and he's trying to do better for himself. He's actually trying to make amends. And it just really sucks that I guess him being free of the Hydra influence, he's not free of those memories.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of interested in seeing if maybe they use that as a different type of manipulation for him and where he's going. I ain't gonna lie, the Anthony Mackie aspect or Sam Wilson aspect, I kind of see it going in that direction already with the financial issues and trying to get a come up and maybe use his name a little bit, but see that's not really going anywhere. I kind of seen that for him.
Yeah.
Already, so I'm not really like too surprised. I'm just really watching and waiting to see how deep in that direction that they decide to go.
Right. Yeah.
But overall, I liked it. I give it about an 8 starting off. It don't knock down WandaVision, but I give it an 8 so far starting off.
Okay. Yeah. That's interesting. And I'm definitely going to look and chat into it and see what people say. I think I agree with Al about the character development for sure. I mean, let me throw something weird out, you guys, because we want to talk. We definitely want to get into the racial aspect of the show. I think, that's the big thing, right? It's like the racial aspect with Sam. Is it going too woke? Is it approaching these topics from like a really good, nuanced place? Is it being too flagrant, with these kind of things? That's sort of the question. But before we go into like sort of the race thing, I wanted to talk from a like sex or gender perspective. Do you think there's anything to be said for the fact that like WandaVision, but it seems like both shows are dealing with trauma, right? And loss and pain and these sort of things. Do you think there's anything to be said for the fact that Wanda and WandaVision is approaching that from a female perspective, and Falcon and the Winter Soldier seems to be approaching trauma from a very male perspective? What do you think about that?
I think so. For me, I think that it very well could have something to do with it, right? Like, I'm not going to be totally tone deaf and say that it didn't resonate with me as much, and that possibly that could be because it was more from a female perspective, which is something I wouldn't know anything about.
Sure.
I totally get that. But what I think the difference for me is that in WandaVision, the development was kind of intertwined in what appeared on the surface to be a bigger story. So the development was more of a backdrop almost. And you didn't realize until you got to the end of the season that was actually the main focus.
Sure.
Because as you go through the season, they lend themselves, or the plot lends itself to something deeper going on. But then ultimately you realize it wasn't, and it truly was just about kind of Wanda's journey through grief. Whereas in this show, the actual character development, you can tell is like right front and center. And it's like we said, to the point where you almost wonder, are they going too woke? Are there going to be some people that might be turned off by it? But the thing that I respect about it most is the fact that it even goes there in that way.
Yeah.
And that they don't, try to muck it up with the plot in a sense. They actually like overtly let you know that's what's going on, like right off the rip.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Lavis, what do you think about the female male thing? What do you think? Am I on anything there, or is it just a different kind of show?
I mean, honestly, I just feel like it's a different kind of show. Obviously, the most obvious difference between them is, we got a female and a male and two males. But I think from watching how they're doing the Sam aspect, they could trying to balance that out a little bit by introducing his sister. And then later we're supposed to get, what's her name's daughter there later. So I think at the moment it might appear that way because they're trying to outline their main characters. And of course they have very masculine issues. Bucky's not willing to talk about his issues.
Right.
Sam wanting to take charge.
That's the whole thing. Yeah.
So I think that they're just outlining that. But I think there's going to be many aspects that I kind of like what Carl Wilkstrom said. It's not that they're going too woke. I think it's just going to be a real episode, real series,
mature, Yeah.
Right, right. And we'll see how people handle that as they go through. So it's just different dynamics. And from the first episode, I'm not willing to make any kind of judgments yet, but we'll see how they get there. Yeah.
I guess just to sort of touch on that a little bit more, it's like I just get this feeling that like there might be things with regards to WandaVision and particularly Wanda and the way she's dealing with things that like, I don't know, for me, like just being male, I'm like, it just doesn't connect with me as much. But like when I see like Sam and Bucky, like part of the struggle with being, male or masculine, in that way is that there is this aspect that like your vulnerability, like you can't be vulnerable. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of the thing. And so Sam is trying to just come back and put on the hero shit, you know what I mean, and just do his thing for his family and all this stuff. But like he's clearly going through a lot. Otherwise he would have not said no to that shield, you know what I mean? Like he's going through a lot personally as a man. I think that's really interesting. It's similar with Bucky, right? Like he's trying so hard, but like he can't. And like the thing that was crazy for me was, and I don't know if you guys had this reaction, when he goes to the old man at the end and he's about to tell him, I don't know about you guys, but I'm screaming, do not do that. Like, do not do that, because you're going to have to kill him too. It's kind of the way I feel. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. Like, I just feel like a lot of the trauma, like this show might be doing a really interesting thing here where it's kind of showing you this sort of masculine perspective on suffering and trauma, you know what I mean? Which is actually interesting because I think it's important to have that discussion for, men of all ages, but particularly young men, coming into this world. It's a pretty crazy thing. So I don't know. Something I picked up on, I was like, because I'm with you, Al. I connected way more immediately with with this show from the rip, dude, than I did with WandaVision.
Yeah, I think part of that, honestly, is because it's what I was saying when we were talking about WandaVision, was that WandaVision, one of the things for me that made WandaVision hard to swallow was the new format and kind of the different direction. And it wasn't that I wasn't down with it. It just seemed like there was so much focus on building it from that perspective that it took away from some of what I felt could have really enhanced the story. And not talking about appearances or big reveals or anything like that, but if they had spent more time really focusing on getting into the actual meat and potatoes of what was going on inside the Hex, particularly with those first two episodes, then it would have been a little bit easier to digest in terms of the style change. With this, the first, I would say 10 to 15 minutes of this episode felt exactly like Civil War to me. Mm-hmm. Like from the action piece at the beginning, you have the little coffee shop or the little scene where Sam is sitting there trying to repair his little buddy.
Yeah, I loved it.
Like, yeah, exactly. It's like that felt real, like really MCU, so it was familiar. So you didn't have to, like, you were basically able to really focus on the plot because you weren't trying to figure out what was going on in the world. Like you got it automatically. Yeah. So for me, that was like a big, big plus. The other thing for me, and this was something that I was really kind of worried about, is my man Anthony Mackie like held it down. And that's not to say that I have any issues with his acting before this, But I was concerned that this might highlight that he's better suited to be kind of a supplemental character.
Guy,
well, after this episode, it's like, hell no.
Dude, you're 100%. If I could touch on that for just a second, the speech that he gives at the beginning, the conversation he has with Rhodey, so many brilliant moments. The bank scene. I mean, yeah, you're right. Range, nuance. Yeah. Incredible performance. I agree.
Yeah, it was just amazing, and it was like I said, it really put me in a place where I was able to really soak in what was going on in a way that I couldn't with WandaVision. And I just keep bringing that up because it really, for me, highlights the difference in those shows. It's not that WandaVision was bad, but I feel like Falcon and Winter Soldier is already succeeding at something that I felt like WandaVision failed to do for me. So it was just really incredible to watch it and see how they developed it in that episode. But I want to touch on the speech at the beginning, because I saw when you did the recap video and you talked about, Sam giving the shield back and really wondering if he had made the right decision towards the end of the episode. But did anybody else pick up on the fact that like Sam might have got bamboozled into giving that shield back? That maybe like the government asked him to give it back to donate it to the Smithsonian? Because that's the way I felt like. But
the thing is, Rhodey, right? But Rhodey asks him like a couple minutes later. He's like, "Are you going to make me ask? Why did you say no?" That implies that they asked him. You know what I mean?
Okay, I got you. I missed that part.
Yeah, so okay. I'm pretty sure, and also too, I'm a little bit in leak land here. You know what I mean? So like, I'm a little bit like, he damn sure said no. But got you. Yeah. No, it's not necessarily explicitly spelled out. I think you might be onto something because there is supposed to be a mystery there. And I'll tell you, there's definitely people that didn't want Sam to have the shield, right? Like, that is obvious. Absolutely. And that's going to become very obvious as we move forward because he didn't sign the accords, right? So they want someone they can control, and Sam is not that guy. But I mean, my point on that was that, and we'll sort of get into this too, and I'm actually legitimately interested in what you guys think. But like, it's like, I feel as though he made a personal decision there, which is an error. And if you're a leader, if you're a symbol, you don't make the personal decision. You make the decision for the masses. You know what I mean? That's what I mean. Is like, he, because of his relationship with Steve and his own personal shit, was like, nah. But he should have just done it because, like, dude, the world needs, like, for sure the world needs a Captain America. And honestly, the world probably needs a black Captain America. For real. So it's like he fucked that up, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like, by saying no. 100%.
Yeah, I feel like he did too. Like, you could tell at the end when they announced the new Cap, like, his face, he was a little disappointed.
For sure.
And he had a lot of different emotions going on right there. So, yeah, I bet you he feels like, I should have just said yes.
And and that's kind of what I was feeling like Rhodey was trying to say to him. Because Rhodey, if you go back and watch that scene, like, Rhodey is kind of trying to tell him he's wrong, like, without really being a dick about it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, he's without question. Without question.
Yeah, he tried to think ELDR on that one.
Yeah, I think Rhodey was, and this is one of the things, and like you said, we'll get into it, but one of the things that I really enjoyed about this show was the culturally accurate interactions that was going down in this show. Yeah. Like, these were real conversations for the first time, and you could tell, and this is something that having somebody like Malcolm Spellman as the writer on this show really, really helps, because you actually have, in a show that's going to be touching on the type of subjects that this show is going to be touching on, I would want somebody that is actually going to accurately represent how those conversations go on in Black culture. Yeah. Like, I'm just keeping it 100. And throughout the show, there were some lines that didn't hit as well and that was more of an acting thing. I know me and Lavis talked about that a little bit offline, but overall, the way that those conversations go on Falcon and the Winter, that's the way those conversations actually go. Yeah. And so it was like, you feel like you are in a grounded place where all of this kind of makes sense. Yeah. You know, and which is crazy when you think about the type of show this is, but the fact that they were able to nail that tone like that, for me, that just made it hit even more.
Yeah. No, man, I'm with you. it's interesting because I mean, it's kind of too early to tell, and I don't want to do the WandaVision thing again where I get like way too hyped up just from like a little bit. But like, I'm telling you that like this show has a sharpness to it. Like even the first opening line where they layer the lines where he's like, it feels like it belongs to someone else, and the way they layer, there's like, it doesn't, and then Falcon and the it's like, oh shit, like, because that's the whole thing, is that like Cap's trying to like, well, Steve in a way is trying to explain like, nah man, it is gotta be you know what I mean? And I think to your point, the very natural feeling and authentic feeling conversations with Sam and his family, and the way in the bank scene, and just in general his feelings about the world, you know what I mean?
Right.
They do feel authentically black, which is important, you know what I mean, in a show that's going to deal with these kind of issues. So yeah, man, kudos to him, and I'm really interested in how they explore this kind of idea. You know, I had sort of said in my breakdown, and I'm curious if you guys agree or not, that the blip and the sort of fictional craziness, the paranoia, right, the just bizarro world that the MCU finds itself in, I think it helps because it sort of turns the heat up on some of these like racial things, while also like somehow taking the sting out of them a little bit. I don't know if that makes sense at all. Do you guys feel where I'm saying with that?
Yeah, I think I get where you're going with it. I think what it is though is it adds a very interesting layer to the conversation, because whereas if it had just been kind of a black versus white type discussion, that would just seem forced and it would seem like agenda based and everything else. But because you have the blip, like you said, there's a legitimate reason why banks would be like, nah, we can't really go that route right now. And they would be super sketchy about it. So that makes it make sense to where it's almost like giving them an out. Right. To where it's like, well, no, this isn't it. And so you really have to look between the lines a little bit and understand like what part of this is a legitimate situation as opposed to what part of this is kind of, I don't want to say self-induced, but like, you know, it's almost a figment of somebody's imagination. Like you're applying something to this that isn't actually the truth yet, or the truth at all. So that's what is interesting to me, because it's like how much of, you know, Sam's struggle is Sam's struggle, and how much of it is Sam's struggle against the outside world. Well, that's the interesting part.
That is so interesting to me. And actually, this is kind of gets into one of the real questions that I have. And Al, you and I have talked about this offline. We've talked about this kind of stuff before. In fact, you and all three of us actually have talked about this before. But it's a nuanced and difficult thing to talk about, like in front of an audience and stuff. But it feels like there's an element of Sam's story where even the pressure of being a black man and sort of appeasing the black community or like blackness, that feels like that's a part of his shit, because it feels like he's not even necessarily where some of these other people are at with it, including his sister. But he's like understanding the world and like trying to pull the strings. He knows how people are going to feel about what's happening. He knows what it is, maybe like, you know, to his people. But he's also like, I don't know. Is any of that coming across in the series for you guys, or am I crazy?
No, absolutely. That's part of. Go ahead, Lavis. I want to let you get yours in, bro.
No, you're good. I would say definitely. I see that in this series playing out in different points and different parts. Because you also gotta keep in mind that Sam hadn't been around for 5 years too. So the directions that he's going to take to do things are going to definitely be, especially from the writers or from the viewer standpoint, I'll have to say it this way, it's pretty much pro-black, you know? He's not going to go the route of, like, oh, I got to go stand on the corner and do this. He's going to go the route of the way that a normal entrepreneurial type black man would go, and he's going to meet those struggles for sure. Plus, while trying to save the world, not knowing that he's going to have to save the world. You know what I mean? Yeah. So he's going to be pulled in many different directions, like most black men are nowadays. So that's definitely an aspect, hands down.
I think it's an important one that doesn't get I mean, for me personally, it's not something that I see a lot. You know what I mean? Like I feel like the black experience gets distilled a lot. You know what I mean? And just generalized. And like, I don't know, like it's sort of hard to explain, but it feels like Falcon the Winter Soldier is like pulling back layers in a really digestible way. Like in a way that might actually get us to like come to some talking about some important, more or less important topics. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think that's the thing that I'm really interested to see, just how deep into that subject they get in this show. Because for me, I don't want the show to be dominated by that conversation.
Right.
I still want, at the end of the day, to get a great MCU story. But based on this first episode, and again, I'm like you, Josh, I don't want to get too hyped on it, but it's like, if the rest of this season is going to feel like this and the conversations are going to be presented in this way, then give me as much of that as you want, because that was real. Like, with the, when you look at it and you kind of peel back the layers, that's really what Sam is going through right now is what a lot of black men deal with, particularly when you are in like the professional realm and you feel like you have this obligation to your profession, but yet you still have an obligation to your family and to your community, and you're trying to juggle both. And there becomes that question of when you have those accusations, kind of like, and this was one of the parts that I really loved was the interaction with his sister. Now, I'll agree with the homie Lavis, because I think he was going to say, when we talked about it, he said he wasn't really feeling the sister's acting as much, and that some of her lines didn't come off as genuine.
Okay.
I get some of that. I definitely get some of that. And I think that was more of a delivery thing than it was a writing situation. Right. But what you get from those scenes, though, is a level of exposure to what it's like in a black family that I don't think you've seen on TV yet.
Interesting.
Where it's not bombastic, it's not, comedy laced, it's real straightforward. Like, no, this is just an everyday family, and this is how we relate to the outside world. And you can hear kind of the skepticism in his sister, because she doesn't believe that the system's going to give them do any type of favors for them, regardless of whether he's Falcon or not.
Yeah.
And he's looking at it from a totally different perspective, having, been with the Avengers and everything else, figuring, no, I am this person. This is going to allow me passage. Mm-hmm. And then kind of having that wake up call of, no, that really doesn't apply to you. And it's like, that's a struggle. That's a real struggle. And if you're going to get into this show and you're going to cover that struggle, then I want to see it portrayed like this. And I would love to see how deep they take it.
Right. Well, also to add to that too, besides the fact that they're using that as a dynamic, I think it's also going to be something that they probably use as more of a base, because what the banker said, okay, yeah, you're a Falcon and everything, but here recently they've changed some things because people are just showing back up from the blip.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think it's going to be a combination of both. You're going to see a little bit of him probably leaning in, or even his sister leaning in, making it a bit of a black issue.
Sure.
And really they're probably going to come back and be like, no, this is really a blip issue. We got 5 of y'all, 5 years worth of people that disappeared. Now y'all coming back trying to resume things, and it's messing up the system because we had to readjust, Mm-hmm. So I think it's going to be a lot of different political aspects mixed in with the MCU aspects to try to separate. And I don't mean like separate it from like the world, but what I'm saying is, like, if you think of it technically, they're 5 years ahead of where we are now. So they have kind of a reign to make their future something to model by at the same time. True. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I feel like they're going to go in many different aspects. And like I was telling Al, I don't think they're going to like lean into it, but I think they're definitely going to pull aspects from black struggles, black culture, and possibly intertwine them.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting. I think just to sort of double down on what you were saying about the sister, that's really something that stood out to me, was that, like, she seemed to really go there often, like sort of make it a race thing, or maybe perhaps the correct way to say it is view it through a racial lens a little bit more than Sam, and I find that interesting because look, I don't know what that's like, but I can imagine there's a pressure to perhaps do that, you know what I mean, or to perhaps validate people around you that feel that, you know what I mean, and I'm wondering if there's any of that going on, for the character. When it comes to John Walker, we don't know a lot about the character as far as from the show. The show just shows us this dude at the end, just, Chad looking white dude, whatever, Cap, right? But here's what's interesting about that. I think what they're going to do with this character is make him actually likable and awesome. So that's going to be really interesting because I think they're going to actually make Bucky have a lot of respect for John Walker, because I think Bucky will know who John Walker is because of his military experience. And I'm wondering, what do you guys think of that? Because the racial element is going to be there. But on top of that, it seems like Spellman wants us to kind of like John Walker. I'm wondering what you guys think of that.
Yeah, I think it's if that's the route that they go, and it's like he ends up being, like super likable and super cool, then it's going to create a really interesting dynamic for me in terms of how do you reconcile Sam's like internal beef then?
That's the whole point.
Where does that energy get directed towards, or if you're pointing the fingers, you know what I mean? And it's like it really would get into a really nuanced conversation of where that guilt or where that blame is placed and how accurate that is, and really making it look at making you take an internal look at yourself and say, what role did you have in facilitating these circumstances? Because again, if Sam, let's say, does start to get or lean towards the idea that there was, some conspiratorial stuff going on from a racial perspective, like you said, they asked him first. You know what I'm saying? Like, they gave him the option to be Captain America, and he turned it down for personal reasons, apparently. So, again, is it really still a race thing if you had the opportunity and you passed it up?
Well, see, that's what's so interesting to me, because it definitely is. Like, that's, I think, what the end of episode 1 is meant to show us. And even though it's not maybe really that way, it's going to get looked at that way. That's the whole point, is like, right. I think like Sam knows in that moment, he's like, oh, fuck, like it's this white boy. You know what I mean? Like, and like he's thinking more of like, I'm going to get it in the streets. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to get it in the streets. You know what I mean? That's what he's thinking, at least in my opinion. Like, when I'm like watching him like go through that scene, I'm like, dude, holy shit, that would be rough, bro. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, now you just made me think about something really interesting though. Because if you remember, I missed the line where Rhodey told him, like, straight out, asked him, said, you're gonna make me act.
Someone double check me on that, because I could be.
No, you're right, because I remember the scene. I just didn't put the 2 and 2 together. So no, you're absolutely right with that. But what that means then is this is really gonna go this is gonna go to a next level, because my reaction is the reaction that, like, I'm almost, I don't want to say program, but that's the automatic conclusion you jump to is, oh, they weaseled him out of that, or they did him dirty. Mm-hmm. And it's like, that's the interesting part about it, because now Sam is going to have to deal with the idea of, his family, his community, his people looking at it and going, bro, why you let them do you like that?
Right. That's,
and then, and so that's the interesting thing. And you're absolutely right.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, especially because I would say that they weaseled him out of it, because, they put it in a case to be carried off. And I'm pretty sure he probably thought that they were going to put that in Cap's museum.
Yeah.
I don't think he thought that they were going to take that shield and give it to somebody else with a whole new name, moniker, introduction. You know what I mean?
Right.
So he thought he probably laid that to rest, didn't have to think about it.
Well, I think when he, I don't want to interrupt, but like, I think he thought for sure when he said no, it was over. You know what I mean? Like, I think when he, that's what, and we don't know for sure, but that's what I think happened. It's like, he made the decision. He thought he was making the decision because the legacy had been handed to him, and he was like, I'm going to lay it to rest. he didn't realize that like the government's like, oh no, like, you know what I mean? That's our shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead, Levis. My bad.
No, yeah. So now he's out there trying to get this loan. He's trying to use his name for clout, and they made this announcement. I'm pretty sure in the next episode, it's gonna come up somewhere that, you know, oh yeah, you could have taken that cap handle, and you'd have been out of debt. Yep. You'd have been out of trouble. You'd have been saving the world. Everything you're trying to do right now in these streets, you could have for real been for the you know, for America. You know, so I do see that coming up. So it's some kind of side conversation, either with him and Bucky, or a conversation with his sister, or just in the streets, like you said, in general, when they start seeing him flying around as Falcon. Yeah. You know, it might come out in the media or something, but I definitely see them playing off of that for sure.
You know, one more thing and this actually doesn't touch on the race thing at all, but it's kind of an interesting thing that Spellman might be doing here as far as playing with our expectations. Did you guys catch that he said that the Flag Smashers believe in open borders, and they believe yeah. So what's funny is, at first, the triggering thing would come from like sort of leftists or people on the left, because they're like, are they trying to say that, like, you know, anarchos or people that don't want borders or hate nationalism, like that they're terrorists? You know what I mean? Like, they're basically, that's like feels like a shot at Antifa. But here's what's interesting. If we actually feel like we know where this plot is going, that might be more like the false flag smashers, meaning like that could be controlled by. So it's like, it's funny, and I'm hoping people aren't getting too triggered either way, because the show needs to show you what it's doing. You know what I mean? Before you get too triggered. So I think but that is smart writing, bro. Like that's
This is the one thing that I'll say. Like when I was watching this, there was a lot of shit in this episode that made me go, they are going there.
Yep.
Like, and I mean, like, really touching on some of the nuanced conversations that don't get necessarily rotated in mainstream media right now. Like, this is really, really smart writing, like you said, because this is being done in a way where, again, it's really nuanced. So it's not going to be, I don't think, the main point of it. And to be honest, it may even be a situation where the black-white conversation is used as kind of a veil for what this is really speaking on. And that's the thing that really gets me. And that's why I say I'm interested to see how deep it goes, because I think this is a really multi-layered show, and there's going to be commentary on a lot of different socioeconomic conversations in this show. And I think it's just going to keep getting deeper and deeper.
Yeah, man. No, I'm into it. I mean, I really liked it. But I did sort of walk away from it feeling like, man, I don't know if this is going to be for everybody. You know what I mean? And like, this one more thing I want to kind of take it here. Let's touch on this last thing, and then maybe get into Q&A for a little bit, and then kind of see is that cool with you guys? Only just because I know I got to get out of here, and I got the thing on it. But okay. Let me ask you this: is the show? Let me see how do I want to word this? Like, do we think that the show's going to end with him being Captain America? Let's just kind of, do we think that's the way that it's going to go, or are we going to end with a different kind of scenario?
No, I don't think he's going to end up being Captain America at the end of the show. I think that ultimately he is going to remain Falcon, and that I don't even know if he'll have an opportunity to be Captain America by the end of the show. I think that might be a situation where it's like that ship has sailed. I really do, because I think, just thinking of it from the standpoint of, like, as we go forward, we start speculating on what's going on. Like, I don't see why, or I don't see how they would move him into that slot, and it not, if they're going in like the U.S. agent path and all of that. I just don't see how the plot would move forward with Falcon as Captain America. Like I'm not to say that he couldn't be, but just from a standpoint of where we're going, I don't know if we've seen, and this is just me, I don't know if we've seen the last of Steve Rogers Captain America yet.
Yeah.
I really do feel like there is a space now, especially now, where we might actually get that. So for that reason, I don't think they're going to make him Captain America by the end of the show.
Lavis, what do you think?
I will agree with that for different reasons. I think they're definitely going to entertain it because obviously he gets the shield back at some point and he's training with it with Bucky. Unless they turn those into flashbacks somehow, but I doubt it because he's got short hair now.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely feel like he's going to get the shield back. He's going to entertain it. They may even upgrade his suit a little bit, but I think in the end, at very least, if he's not considered Captain America or a version of it by the end of it, he'll be passing it down to the Isaiah Bradley character.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
Mm.
So I actually think he will be Captain America. I think they will make him Captain America. And I think the whole thing with the show is meant to like kind of have him at the end fully embrace the responsibility and like fully take it on himself, which would mean that he would have to sign the Accords. You know what I mean? In order to do it. Now, there's also the option that he's like Captain America, but for the Secret Avengers, meaning like he takes the shield but doesn't sign the Accords. And then he like goes underground and like works with the Secret Avengers and stuff like that. That could be really cool. But generally speaking, I do actually think that he will. I do think that he will get the shield. But this is the question I was going to ask you before, Al. You know, we talked about last year, man, stuff going on with the NBA, stuff going on with the NFL. You know, obviously, there was a lot of civil rights sort of, you know, movements and progress made last year. For some of these people, man, they're just getting exhausted by it. You know what I mean? Like we talked about this where it's like, it's a lot. You know, at one point you even logged into Call of Duty and Call of Duty told you Black Lives Matter. Now, look, obviously Black Lives Matter, but I'm just saying it was all over the place. So
all over the place.
Yeah. So one of the questions is this show going to suffer from sort of fatigue of that issue in particular being sort of blasted all over media?
And that's exactly why I want to see how deep they go with it. Because if it is a focal point of every single episode and it's the biggest takeaway from every single episode, then yes, it will, and it will fast.
Wow. Yeah.
People will get sick of this show very quickly. Myself included, to be honest, because I don't want it to become a victim of those conversations. And what I mean by that is there's a very, very fine line between, you know, intelligently introducing those subjects into your content and really hammering it home.
Yeah.
I think of a movie like Black Panther where there was a lot of really nuanced conversation in the like internal struggle between T'Challa and Killmonger, for example, and like that whole situation and their differences in opinion and how Wakanda should move forward as a nation. And that's a nuanced conversation that actually happens in the Black community. And I felt like it was a very intelligent way of introducing that without it necessarily being like overtly thrown at you in the movie. Like it didn't take away from the overall plot. If this show is able to walk that fine line, then I think it's going to be able to do it just fine. But if that's the big thing that people keep pulling away or choose to pull away from these episodes, then I think by the time we get to the midway point, people might be done with this show.
I know. Well, it's interesting because I actually agree with you that it could be a fear and or a possibility. And that would be such a shame. You know what I mean? Like that would be such a shame because they didn't write this show knowing that was all that stuff was going to happen last year. You know, nobody knew that was going to happen last year. So, Lavis, what do you think, man?
I mean, Al and I were talking about this before, and you know, we're both kind of in the same spot a bit, but I'm just more leaning toward. I don't think that they'll have enough time to cover the buddy cop aspect, the blips aspect, and the cap aspect, like all these different aspects they got going to give that too much leeway, or you know, like I said, you know, they're probably teeter-totter on a line, and I feel like they'll stick to that line. I don't think that they'll cross it too much to where people will get tired of it, but it will be, hey, did you catch that? type conversations.
Gotcha.
I think they'll be more in that realm than anything else.
Yeah, well,
but the first episode is too early to see. So
true.
Yeah.
By next one, I'll have more of a definitive. Oh hell yeah, they're doing this.
Well, I'll say
hard this week.
Well, there was. It's funny because there's a lot of cool stuff that happens in the episode, and it's sort of. It's not even the entire focus of the episode, but it really feels like it is. I mean, the way that ending happens, it's like a boom, So it's like it's hard for me to say like it wasn't a focus because it damn sure was, So I don't know. What do you think? Yeah,
but that's what I think is. So this is, and again, I hate to do this, but this is the difference between this show and WandaVision, though, is because this show had all kinds of action. It had all kinds of stuff to kind of let you know kind of from a MCU plot standpoint where things are from a on the ground, from here in on the earth, if you will. But we're talking about all of these other ancillary things with the show. Whereas with WandaVision, you spent the first 2-3 episodes trying to wonder what the hell was going on in the first place.
Who's Mephisto?
And yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And what's Dottie and what does this mean and what does that mean? Which again, some of that is on the fan for like overly speculating and having, these lofty expectations and them not getting met. But you do have to put some of that on the writing because a lot of that stuff wasn't like hinted at. It was thrown in your face. Mm-hmm. Like the beekeeper scene was put like that was emphasis.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. I agree with you. Yeah, sorry, go ahead. I'm just.
Oh no, you're good. I was just gonna close it and say that's the difference here, and that's the difference between, really making good writing leading to interesting character development as opposed to someone trying to force a character development story down your throat.
Yeah, most definitely. I got a question for you guys, though. Just a little bit. So now seeing at least the first episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier, do you think the way that it's going, that this would have shaped out to be a better show for them to still put out first? Or do you think WandaVision, like, it had to be this direction? It had to be WandaVision first in order for Falcon and Winter Soldier to redeem them for not having content for a year?
It's a little too like
it's
too early,
a little too soon.
Yeah, but I see what you're saying because I think what you're kind of saying like is, and I'll tell you what, this is what I'm most afraid of, and I sort of talked about this a little bit on live streams, is that I'm most afraid that both of these shows are going to be rejected by a lot of Marvel fans. Now, that's not to say that they're going to be rejected by the majority of Marvel fans, but what I'm saying is this is not going to be universal loved Marvel content the way that their movies have been, and you might have a bunch of people that didn't like WandaVision because they thought it was too weird and ended up not actually having a satisfying ending. And then you might have a ton of people that are like, dude, Falcon the Winter Soldier is way too woke. And here's the thing. If people feel that way and they check out, dude, that's just life. Like, that's okay. Like, people can feel however they want to feel. I like the show, but we're going to talk about how well the show does objectively. And if it does piss a bunch of people off and it doesn't get big numbers, then we're going to talk about that. You know what I mean? And that will ultimately be a failure for the show. So I don't know. It is interesting. I don't necessarily think that is going to happen, but I will say this was a very different tone, and especially on a week where the Snyder Cut comes out and goes bananas.
Yeah.
It's hard to, I mean, it is sort of interesting, right? There's not a lot of action in Falcon the Winter Soldier, bro. So
this is the question I have for y'all. Do you, having seen the first episode, again, because again, you cannot compare Falcon and Winter Soldier to Justice League because one, that's one episode. You still have a whole season to unpack. But do you think, having seen them both now, that the Justice League Snyder Cut was able to steal the thunder from Falcon and Winter Soldier this week?
What do you think, Lavis?
I think this week, yeah, of course. I mean,
yeah.
We got people that's, believe it or not, seen the Snyder Cut like 5 times already.
Bro, it's so entirety. Good.
So, yeah. But I mean, at the same time, from what I've seen people ask, since you've asked that question last night, it's actually a question that has been asked. And like I said, if you're gonna do that, you got to break it down and compare it in hours. And so far, it just seems the pacing is different. Mm-hmm. So the Snyder Cut is a lot faster paced. Like you said, there's not that much action in this. They gave us that opening scene You got the with the Falcon, and then you got that with Bucky, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah.
For the first almost hour, where in Snyder Cut, you got the Wonder Woman introduction. You got you got a whole bunch of different
the Amazons on the boxes. Yeah, I mean it's just wild. Yeah,
So the pacing is way different. So I would say if we're going to compare this at least for the next 4 weeks, or at least till we get 4 hours worth of content, I still think the Snyder Cut's probably going to pull out.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I'll say this. I think Feige should be very happy that HBO decided to drop it all at once. Because if they did actually drop those chapters or have it figured out like that, that's a very dangerous project. That could have really floundered Falcon and the Winter Soldier. You know what I mean? So right off the rip, I would say it will be very hard, I think, for Falcon and the Winter Soldier to reach the height that the Snyder Cut did. But it's almost like not its fault. I mean, like, come on, think about it. Like, this is a dude that got fucked over. We never thought this thing would happen, and all of a sudden, it's actually amazing. Like, that's kind of ridiculous. Like, I was super hyped, but let's be real. There were so many people skeptical about it. For it to be as widely accepted as it is pretty phenomenal. You know, I feel very happy for everybody that over there. And I still think Falcon and the Winter Soldier is going to end up being incredible. And the MCU has sort of, you know, skis that can't be touched because we're talking about one show that fits into a puzzle that is the tapestry that is the MCU. Snyder Cut might be over forever. You know what I'm saying? So, like, it's sort of a different thing. Like, you can't really sleep on Marvel at all. This is just one piece of Marvel. But yeah, frankly, like for me, it would take a lot because here's the other thing with the credits. If you really think about it, they actually will probably be around the same amount of time. Like, because Falcon and Winter Soldier is not actually going to be 6 hours. You know what I mean? Like, it will probably be closer to like that 4.5, 5 hour mark when all's said and done. So that's pretty close. I think you could actually do a pretty good comparison of the two. And I just don't see. I personally see no way in which Falcon and Winter Soldier would be able to eclipse the Snyder Cut.
No,
I don't think so. I don't think so either.
Yeah,
legit. Even if Mephisto actually showed up, like I still don't think that it could do it because you're talking about like Batman, Superman, the Justice League, all done way better. But then like actual Darkseid. Like, come on, man. Like,
yeah, but I also think it's really not fair because you're talking about an Avengers Endgame level type movie. And it's like, there's no way any one of these individual properties are going to be able to eclipse that.
Right. And they just started over, too, technically. So they're not putting out anything Endgame level.
True. Yet. That's a good point. It's like the place that the world is in. Like, it's too all over the place and...
But here's the thing that is blowing me away with the Snyder Cut. Does anybody realize that like they legit have actually found a way to catch up to the MCU in terms of like you have a launch point now, like based off of what you did with Justice League, you could legitimately, if you kept that universe going, you would have something that would give you a worthy alternative or competitor to the Avengers now.
Bro.
Like the thing that they were trying to do this entire time, they actually have accomplished. And they're going to go away from it.
I can't believe.
That makes no damn sense.
Dude, and I'll just say one thing and I'll let Lavis rant because I know he's got a lot to say about this being a big DC fan. But I would just personally say, I cannot believe that they did him like that. Like, you watch that movie. By the way, it just came out. The only new stuff is the Nightmare stuff. That's the only new footage. All of that movie was shot years ago, dude. They had it all. I cannot believe they had Kilowog. They had Ares. They had Zeus. They had everything. They had Granny Goodness. What the fuck were they thinking? It's unbelievable that they would cut it down to what it ended up being and then fuck around with Birds of Prey? Like, it's just insane. Yeah. Sorry.
Right. Like, this is exactly what I was saying, like, years ago. It was like, if they, like, even if they went from Man of Steel and did this in Justice League.
Yeah, dude.
They would have caught up. They would have totally caught up. This is my point. They didn't need to drop 5 to 6 different independent properties to build up to Justice League like Marvel did. Marvel did that. So it's already been done. If people looked at DC and was like, oh shit, they already gave us the whole Justice League plus Darkseid and a tangible story for us to follow through. And I wouldn't have cared it was 4 hours.
Yeah.
I totally wouldn't have cared it was 4 hours. They would have caught it up. Then they could drop their IPs for the people who are less known, like Cyborg, give Flash a story. You go there, you do all that. And then, boom, you drop Justice League 2. They would have been right behind Marvel, at least by the time they got to Justice League 2. Like, we wouldn't be sitting here having any of these types of conversations. So it's frustrating to see that, yes, they had over, 85% of a movie finished and decided to put it to the side. For what reason?
It's crazy.
This makes no damn sense.
It's crazy.
I just don't.
No damn sense.
They should be ashamed, man. Honestly, they should be ashamed. It's pretty crazy. Y'all want to do a Q&A? Knock out like a half-hour Q&A and then call it an afternoon?
Let's do it, man.
Now, do you guys have, because we're doing it a little differently today, do you guys still have access to all the super chats? You want to go through them?
I have actually been keeping up with the super chats. Yes,
yeah, we got a nice system in place.
Beautiful.
Thanks to the homie.
Dope. I'm going to use the restroom real quick. I'll be right back because, I definitely got to do that. So I'll be right back.
Right. So, should we wait for him or screw it? I mean, I got it.
Hey, man, run it.
I got this.
You know what it is, man.
We got Brandon Vic Boss Morgan with the $5 holla. Thank you. He says, shout out to the one by power finger sniffer. Not sure exactly what that is, but it sounds pretty powerful. We got Mike Haas with the $5 holla. Thank you. He said, afternoons with the gents. Josh is fire. Falcon and Winter Soldier, some of the best character development in all of the MCU in just 1 hour. And great action. I thought for a TV show level project, yeah, they most definitely are exceeding expectations in a lot.
Oh yeah, they did that, man. They did that.
Yeah, for sure. We got Just Fernie with the $1.99. Said it's nice to know the Avengers are broke ventures too. Yeah, especially Bucky and them. They ain't got no cash. Well, I don't know. Bucky might. My man was eating at an expensive restaurant. He probably got that Winter Soldier money stashed up somewhere.
Oh, yeah. He got bank on bank.
Yeah. He was getting around, blowing stuff up.
Hey, what if Bucky's the one to come help him save the boat situation?
Right. Hey,
what about that?
You know what? I wouldn't put it past him.
Right.
I could totally see that being something that they come together on.
That'd be a nice little payoff.
Definitely. Episode 6 for sure.
Facts.
We got Mike Porter with the $4.99. Said, I'm so excited about all the MCU content and the Snyder Cut. The clear winner is all of us nerds enjoying the stream from the nerdy Trinity. Nice.
Sir, glass half full coming with it as usual.
Yeah, that's
as
nice.
As usual. Definitely. We got Brandon Vic Boss Morgan with the $5 yet again. Thank you, sir. Said, I'm starting to think the scene in the trailer where Sam has Cap's shield will end up being in the last episode.
Could be.
Could be.
It could be. We'll have to see. We got Ryan Carter, the $9.99. Thank you, sir. Said, really liked the episode. The financial stuff was way unbelievable. Dude just finished a contract, covert government op. Those pay well. Also, Tony didn't have a will. Wouldn't leave them begging. Yeah, I can see that.
Bro, if you've ever sat down to get a loan, I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I don't see that scene. The scene is hammy. It's like a little campy, it's like too cute for its own good. You see what they're doing. But honestly, it's not a bad scene. I totally understand where both sides of that table are at. I mean, for me as a person that's really into financials and markets and all that kind of stuff, bro, I ain't giving no billions of people. I don't know. That's just a wild
big facts.
Yeah,
big facts. Yeah, but there is. Oh, go ahead.
No, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, but there is a side of that where you have to wonder because you cannot ignore the fact that there are some who are in a position to where they can walk in, and despite that, on paper, it's well, let's see what we can do. That's happened before, and it's not And that's not to say that it's specific to race, because we all know it's not.
Yeah.
But to say that it, or to totally dismiss the idea that Sam and his sister would be sitting on the other side of that table going, "You really gonna tell me that's all you can do?"
Yeah.
Like, that's a real thing, and it is a real and a legitimate question to ask, even with the fact that the banker was 100% in the right.
Yeah.
Like you said, that there is a question to be asked in that, just based on history. And like anybody that doesn't see that, I just feel like it's being a little narrow-minded with that.
Yeah, no, and that's why I think it's a good scene, because like it literally makes both, like you kind of can empathize with both, with all of those characters.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Which is cool. Yeah.
Yeah, he was fighting with being a fanboy and doing his job at the same time.
Dude, he's a dweeb, is what he is. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's a dweeb. Like, that's my thing was like, I was like, and by the way, I'm not trying to be a hater, but like, I've known a lot of bean counters in my day, and sometimes they're not the best social people. You know what I mean? A lot of dweebs in the banking industry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Feel that.
People. Definitely awkward people. Alrighty, let's see. We got Rogue Soul with the $5 holler. Thank you. He said, "I think they're going to make Walker the opposite of Rogers. Picked because he was a good soldier, not because he is a good man."
That's
which
very fair.
Yeah, I like that.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense too for the direction that they would totally decide to go with that.
Word.
For his character. I feel he'll have a social dilemma later though.
Yeah.
Let's see here. We got Keaton Haas with the $10 holo. He said, "What's up, y'all? Came in late, busy day. Yo, that canyon chase scene with the flight suit guys, Falcon in the helicopters, epic.
Bruh.
Cheers to Al, Lavish, Josh, and chat. Love and respect, nerd."
Nice. Yeah.
What's up, man?
That scene was awesome, huh?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was crazy. That was crazy.
Yeah. Loved it.
Yeah, it was enjoyable from start to finish. And then how about my man GSP?
Oh, so excited. So excited, dude. He did great. And apparently, like, he's taking a lot of acting classes. He's excited.
Yes.
He might be in Shang-Chi. You know what I mean? And, like, as a UFC guy, I'm like, yo, let's go, dude. Let's go.
Right.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, he definitely looked a lot more comfortable in this
Yes,
one.
he did.
I was digging it.
Yes, he did.
So we got Ryan Carter, $4.99. He said, "There is a huge difference between being woke for woke points and dealing with real-world issues. Felt this did a great job of making it feel real."
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's that's what it's gonna come down to with people. It's like, is it just another wokey talkie, or is this like actually trying to deal with some real shit in a nuanced way? You know what I mean? So
Right.
your mileage may vary. You know.
We will definitely see. We got Jordan Smith with the $5 holo.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. I love that Rhodey and Sam scene as two black men without their best friends trying to find their place. The backdrop of COVID being like the blip equals cool.
That is kind of cool, huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it felt like, right?
Yeah.
Got Big Stevie W with the $10 holla. Since Snyder gave an interview where he said he was told by the studio not to film anything, but he did it anyway. He was also told no dark side. Ignored that too. He said they will look bad if they ignore this. Definitely. They already look
I gotta look at that interview.
They already look horrible.
They look horrible. So I gotta look at that interview because I know he shot some new stuff, but I'm pretty sure it's all the Nightmare stuff. But that is interesting because that's making me think maybe there was other stuff. Yo, I heard some wild. I don't know. I've been hearing some wild stuff, bro, about Zach and about this whole situation. So I kind of want to just wait and see if more stuff comes out. You know.
Yeah, I've been slowly looking into it too as it comes out, and there's a lot of things that was like just unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
Still,
it's unbelievable.
Very.
Yeah.
We got Max Ross with the $4.99. The WB's stupidity aside, what's the better play? 2 more Snyder League movies or 2 to 3 seasons on HBO Max? Could end up being the hottest show on TV.
I want all the Snyder.
Bro,
give me seasons. Give me long form, dope ass Snyderverse shit. That's what I want.
Dude, Affleck Deathstroke, let Ben direct it. Like, here's the thing. Zach doesn't even need, like, he could have been their Feige. He could have been their Feige, and it would have been different. Yes, it would have been different. It would have been a lot like Snyder Cut. But I'm just saying, like, that's so much better than what they have now. You know what I mean? So
anything's better.
for sure, bro. I would give that show or movie with Deathstroke Batman, like have Zach and Ben work out the script, Zach produce it, you can shoot it with all Zach's people, you know, and have Ben direct on set with all Zach's people. That you could make that for $50 million and put that out as like 6 episodes, and it would be huge, dude.
Yeah, man.
So they have options. It's just gonna be how do they feel about it, you know?
Right. We got to we got to find a way to get Warner Brothers the hell up out of there,
bro. Like, or just
somehow
get some of those people out of there. Like Walter Hamada, he feels like he's a sticking point. You know, like the cul-de-sac comment. That's too much, bro. Like, I'm sorry, it's just too much.
Yeah, it's time they did something, man. Because that's you got a gold mine on your hands right now. You talking about a guaranteed smash that you can like basically build or make a foundational piece of HBO Max,
bro. Exactly,
like
the thing,
people
like
would
the thing that
get
people
HBO Max just for that.
Exactly, it's like HBO. It's like Game of Thrones was for HBO now and shit back in the day, dude. 100%. And the thing is, too, you're talking about the opportunity for merchandising. You know what I mean? Video games,
right?
Comic books, bro. Like they could go for it. But it just feels like they're literally so embarrassed. They don't want to have any more egg on their face. So they literally just don't want to do it, which is to me is so crazy. Like
stupid.
Yeah, that's stupid.
Yeah.
Shouldn't do it, man. So we got Mr. Anderson.
Welcome back.
He said, do you guys really think they're going to just put the Snyderverse to the side? Like, yeah, that was nice, but we're still moving on. I think, we just kind of
I think unfortunately it seems like that's going to be the case.
Yeah, they're not going to be like Zack Snyder. Welcome back.
Yeah, I mean,
it doesn't have the same ring to it.
Yeah, it's tough because look, it was so long ago that it would be hard for them to continue the story in its original form regardless. So they'd have to like do the nightmare stuff and like figure out a way to have that resolve. They could definitely do it, but frankly, I think Zach created the thing in a way where his main point, the main goal was to show that he did actually give a shit, that he cared a lot, and that he was taking the wishes of the fans super seriously, and that's it. He just wanted the fans to know and to get that product that he had worked on as a filmmaker. It's beautiful. He didn't make any money off this. You know what I mean? So it's a really cool little thing, and I think the way he views it is literally like he probably doesn't even want to deal with them anymore. You know what I mean? Like, frankly, he just made this other thing at Netflix that, you know, I'm sure he's loving that. He apparently has had conversations with Feige. So, you know, we'll see.
We'll see. Squadron Supreme right around the corner, man.
Whew. Yep. I would love it.
I'd love to see
Yo, by the way, did y'all see the clip that I put on Twitter of Oscar Isaac training for Moon Knight?
Oh, no, I missed that.
Oh, my God. It is really cool, dude.
Let go.
Yeah, dude.
Right.
It's like, check it out when you get a second. It's awesome.
Definitely. We got Calvin Jr. 88 with the $4.99. Said, Josh, Thursday was nuts. At Snyder Cut and Endgame are pretty similar story-wise. Justice League was shot in 2015 and Endgame was shot in 2017. Or is it just a coincidence? Still.
Yeah, there's some elements that are similar. I mean, look, I think it was either Shakespeare or I don't remember. One of those like famous writer dudes was like, yeah, there's only 7 stories. Like there is no originality in storytelling, and I tend to agree. Like it's not about trying to be original. It's about trying to put a new twist on an old lemon. Find a new way to tell that same old story. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Right.
Totally agree. It definitely shows. Like that Aquaman scene, him in the back of the truck, and the setting. A lot of those were very similar to some of the stuff they had in
Endgame.
Yep.
Yeah,
so I agree.
Yeah, man. Let's see here. We got Captain Harlock 89 with the $5 hello.
What's up, man?
He said, "You all sleeping on the unique perspective of Bucky making amends after being a weapon for so many years." Nope.
We ain't sleeping on it.
No, it's
didn't get around to getting really deep into that, but that's definitely one of the things that I picked up on right away, man, is the fact that the homie Bucky's really trying to kind of make some of his cricket straight. And that's going to be an interesting struggle to track too.
Yeah, and it's a nice counterbalance to Sam's struggle because it's chilling, dark, and like I don't know. It just feels like honestly felt uneasy when I was watching. I was like, this feels uneasy in a different way that Sam's stuff, you know. So I know I've seen some people talk about how like if you're in the military or you struggle with PTSD, that shit's like extra real. Like that, what they're doing with Bucky is like, whoa. So that's cool. I hope, you know, people are okay with it and all that. But like, I do love when, you know, Saving Private Ryan had a sort of similar effect where some of the soldiers that like had to leave. You know what I mean? Certain parts of the movie because it's so intense. The ability to evoke that emotion is cool. You know, so
yeah, most
no doubt.
It's good direction, baby.
Yeah.
Flatbush Zombie 47 represent that 9.99 there. He said Steve isn't actually dead. They are just making it look that way to the public. They need to save Steve for an epic comeback entrance in Secret Wars. Hulk Time Machine puts him back in his prime.
Let's go.
That sounds
happy with that. That's what I'm saying, man. Like I have a feeling, and I don't even know if it'll be Secret Wars. Like we have to wait that long because I just have this feeling, man. Like where there's smoke, man, you know how it go. You already know. Yep. And I just feel like Steve Rogers might be making a comeback sooner than we think.
Would be cool.
What do you think, Josh?
Look, I would love it, and I think it's very possible. Feige recently said some stuff that was really interesting, where he said he kind of slapped down the rumor, but he slapped it down in a way that, like, technically if Hydra Cap comes back, that's not the same thing. And if Chris Evans comes back and does movies with Wolverine that are prequels or before now, technically Chris like isn't coming back as Cap. So there could like Cap could be coming back and maybe not actually coming back. I don't know if they're gonna do old man Cap as much or even have him rejuvenate. Now I think either way he's coming back in Secret Wars 1000% as the young dude with those stones. But yeah, I'd love to see Chris come back, man. You know, so I'm very hopeful that he does.
Yeah, he'll probably cameo in something like you said. They'll probably be able to offer him that movie money.
Yeah,
he'll probably come back for that.
Yeah, I agree.
Big Stevie W back again. He said I posted on Twitter and the Discord my idea of how they could continue this. Possibly.
Gotta check that out.
Yeah, we'll have to look at
it. Yeah, man.
Matthew Kurtz, not sure how to say that. $5, thank you, sir. He said, could they approve all of these Easter eggs and nightmare sequences without having the intention to continue the story?
I think it's a situation where they looked at it literally as a one-off. Like they just decided they were gonna let Zack Snyder do this movie. They're going to put it out, and it's just going to leave it at that. As stupid as that sounds, as crazy as that sounds, I think that's just what they agreed to. And I don't think anybody's going... I think despite the public outcry, I just think that this might be it. And so we might just be stuck with having this borderline masterpiece that doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
which is a shame. Yeah. But you know, we gotta just wait and see. I know they're probably waiting to look at the numbers. I know Jason Kilar and AT&T are really fond of it, but I also know that Warner Brothers has been pushed around a lot by AT&T. Like they weren't super into the fact that all the movies are coming, directly on HBO Max. So I'm sure AT&T is also trying not to like cause the whole board to leave or do anything really crazy. So. You never really know,
Or maybe they are.
Yeah.
Look, I'd be down.
I'm here for it. Yeah. I tell you that. I'm here for that shit. Like, get Warner Brothers the hell up out of here. Because they damn sure didn't Warner Brother that they was going to ruin the Justice League movie. So, let them bounce.
Yeah.
I'm trying to tell you. I feel you on that. I already told you what that means. WBDC.
Yeah, I'm trying to tell you.
Don't care.
Yeah. I'm trying to tell you, man.
For sure.
I already told you. We got Apar with the $4.99. He said, worst first date ever. Sushi Girl didn't even try to give the Bucky the chance for some poke. He could battleship and talk about someone else. He said, "Josh, belly rub."
Not today. Not today. But I thought that date was kind of cute. I don't know. I thought it was a little enduring.
Yeah, I don't know. I did feel like that was a bit to push the point because what's his name, Mr. I'm still getting acquainted with the character.
Yeah.
He was pretty much talking about how his son got killed earlier. They did the nightmare that he had before that point, and then her bringing it right back up. I just kind of felt like
it was a little odd that she was like, it's because he doesn't know how it happened. You know what I mean? And it's just like, oh Jesus.
Yeah.
It
was like he killed his son. That had to be the nightmare he's been having. And then boom, that's what it was. So I feel like we spent a lot of time busting down Sam because I think the story is actually more focused on him anyway. So I don't feel like Bucky's going to have too complicated of a story. He's just going to probably empathize with a lot of the military aspects of things. And of course, Sam, he'll be empathizing with the black culture. And because that's something that's been very prevalent in our society here lately, I just think that's something that we're automatically going to be like, yo, you see what you did that there? You see how she said that there? You see, all those things are just going to stand out. And Bucky might actually turn out to be the Easter eggs in this entire thing.
Do you think Bucky could go dark, guys? By the end of the show? Go dark side?
I mean, it's definitely possible. I just I don't think...
Anti-hero.
Yeah.
Thunderbolts, right? He's that's what I'm saying, though, because, think about it. His interactions with the lady are so interesting to me because he's lying to her, but he's also playing the game. You know what I mean? Where he's he recognizes she has power. He recognizes his pardon. He's doing his part. It's interesting.
Yeah.
It definitely is possible. I need to see a couple more episodes.
Yeah.
To kind of gauge where Bucky's at.
Yeah. I'm with you there.
Right. We got Naman Hubbard with the $1.99. Thank you. He said, I love that Sam and Bucky weren't together. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was cool, too.
It was cool.
Nice little surprise.
He's even ignored him. So, which is kind of funny to see Sam even reaching out to Bucky.
Well, he's only probably doing it from Steve. You know what I mean? He's just thinking
Possibly.
Steve would want me to make sure he's okay.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Then we got Sketchy Eddie with the $20 holla. Thank you, sir.
Said, appreciate you.
Winky face.
Little winky face there. The winky. We got the Joker Wild $2. Thank you, sir. He said, y'all missed my super chat. Well, I apologize, sir. I'm doing my best here.
Hey, our bad, man.
Or did you? Was it? I was looking at somebody super chatted, but it didn't have anything on it. Was that you?
Yeah, maybe it got skipped like that.
Could have been him. Our bad, man. Our bad.
Right. It's all of our fault.
Yep.
Then we got Amber Palmer with the $4.99, and again, it didn't really have anything in there, so we appreciate the patronage.
Yes, we do.
Very, very much.
Yeah, thanks.
As always.
Yes, sir. It's nice there. When I see they've been hitting it in the chat. Chat been getting it.
Oh yeah, chat been live today, man.
Yeah, man. Very
live. Live today.
Very
appreciate y'all hanging with us.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
Appreciate the big homie looking at the right side this time.
Yes.
Big homie coming through.
This was a fun stream, man. I was looking forward, and by the way, I'm really looking forward to doing more streams with you, Al, just in general for the spoiler stuff. We'll get it popping next week. But I mean, it's a fun show, and it's a fun show to talk about with you guys. And I was interested to see if, you never know. It's was I on to something? Was I not? I was just this is sort of how I'm feeling about it. But it's always good to get everybody's perspective. You know what I mean?
Most definitely.
No doubt. Definitely. And I got one for you, Cavi. Welcome. There you go.
There you go.
Yeah. Everybody misses when we night people.
Yeah, man. That's good stuff.
Hey, man.
It's fun. You know what I mean? I love it in the Wakandan accent, too. I think it's perfect.
Oh, yeah. Most
good sheet. Yeah. Good sheet.
Yeah, it's some fun there. Yeah, I don't know. I can't wait to see what the next episode is going to bring. You never know, man. They only got 6 episodes, about an hour long. They're gonna have to tie this together a lot sooner with the pacing. I think it might have been a good introductory, and We'll probably get some more cameos real fast next week. We'll probably progress that story of what's going on with the John Walker.
Yeah.
I'm here for it. Totally down and ready to see what happens.
No doubt.
Yeah, man.
Right around that Kong and Mortal Kombat time.
Hey, man. Look.
Is that 4 hours? Mortal
I
Kombat?
don't know how long Kong is. I would say it's probably the standard movie
All right,
time
thank God.
nowadays. About
That's-
2 hours.
that's
What's
just
the standard
crazy.
for movies
Yeah,
now?
like
anyway?
2, 3,
Right.
2.5. Yeah, it's probably fine. Well, I don't know. What do you think, boyos? You want to call it there? And
Sounds like a plan to me, man.
looks like we got
Sir,
one
Rogue
more.
Soul tried to squeeze one in there. I got you, man. The $5 holler. He said Bucky is on a redemption arc. He isn't going dark. Also, I think they specified the guy asked Sam to return the shield. So Walker bad. Okay.
Could be.
Could definitely be.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like we always say, man.
You ain't got to go home, but you got to get the hell up out of here.
And Josh will see you in the next
In the next
Video. Beautiful.